Welcome to John Martin Talks, where we battle ignorance and apathy daily. The growing ignorance of just how special this experiment we call the United States of America is, and the apathy that we can't or won't do anything and everything to save her. Well, ladies and gentlemen, we got a great show for you today. I guess instead of like Taco Tuesday, today is Impeachment Tuesday, because the impeachment trial, the second one of Citizen Trump, not President Trump, but Citizen Trump, is scheduled to begin in just a few hours. Basically, what is supposed to happen today is that each side, the House managers, as they call it, basically the prosecutors of the case, get 4 hours to present why they believe this is a constitutional thing to do. That the impeachment of a citizen, not a president, but a citizen, is okay. And then the Trump's legal team gets 4 hours to basically say this is total ridiculous, as the president says, BS. And then the Senate votes to move forward or not. And if they move forward, then the actual trial itself of Citizen Trump will start noon on Wednesday. But never fear, the Democrats already have a plan B. They have a backup plan for what they think is inevitable, the acquittal of Donald Trump. Now, I'm not saying it's inevitable because I don't trust any of the scalawags up there on either side of the aisle, and we'll get into that. But the Democrats already have another plan to stop Donald Trump from running for re-election in 2024, because really, and ladies and gentlemen, whether he does or doesn't, that's what this is all about. That's really what it's all about. So we'll get into that in depth in just a moment. But before we go any further, I always have to mention our sponsors, because I tell you all the time, not everybody can be a fighter, but everybody can support those of us in the fight. And if you want to see conservative shows, seriously entertaining shows like ours, we need your help now more than ever. You're going to have to become an active participant in order, because believe me, we are under attack. I just came out of Facebook jail yesterday for the first time in like 45 days, and I still don't even know what I did wrong, other than, because I haven't said the F word in a long time. We don't say the F word here. We say election mod, not voter F word. We say mod. So I haven't done that. I haven't talked much about COVID, yet I was locked up, but I'm free now. We'll see how long it lasts. But our sponsors are key to us staying on the air, and especially BDU, otherwise known as Big Daddy Unlimited, your Second Amendment headquarters. Where you can locate all of our sponsors is no matter when or where you're watching the show, look above the video. You will see some descriptions of what we're talking about. And in that description, there will be links to our sponsor, in this case, Big Daddy Unlimited, your Second Amendment headquarters. I say that because that's exactly what they are. They can deliver directly to your door at factory direct pricing, guns, ammunition, yes, guns and ammunition, any type of thing related to the Second Amendment, literally thousands of products from, as I say, guns and ammunition to protective gear to survival gear, all of that type, and products as well, and swag. Plus, they're your Second Amendment headquarters because they are defending your Second Amendment rights on a daily basis. We also have patriotthreads.org, apparel with a purpose. Go to patriotthreads.org. Remember the 20% off promo code John Martin Talks, JMT. Just use the initials JMT for 20% off Patriot Threads. Check it out. Recoil TV. We're working with Recoil TV. They have a YouTube channel. We have our own. It's John Martin Talks. Spell it all the way out. But Recoil TV is everything to do with the Second Amendment as well, because they give you all kind of product demonstrations, any type of video that you might want to look at that has anything to do with the Second Amendment. Recoil TV is the place to go. But check out our YouTube channel as well, John Martin Talks. We're determined, ladies and gentlemen, with the help of our sponsors, we couldn't do it without them, and you, the American people, our viewers, to stay in the public square. So we're fighting to stay on places like Facebook and places like YouTube and everything else, and Twitter. But we need my Twitter handle, by the way, is at John Martin Talks. My psychic sidekick here is at Billy Bob Bass 1. But we are fighting and our sponsors are helping us. And here I want to read you this quick statement. Due to the move by big tech to deplatform conservative free speech, we'll be moving John Martin Talks to a new secure platform that we can continue to broadcast. Please download the Recoil TV app, found in the same links I was telling you about a minute ago, and they're at the Apple Store and Google Play, so you can check them out. And you can also always see our show archived at johnmartintalks.tv. johnmartintalks.tv. We're your voice of freedom. We're archived as well on America's Voice News. America's Voice News is your alternative to the mainstream media. They have free apps as well on Android and iPhone. They stream on Roku, Fire Stick, Apple TV, Channel 219, Dish Network, and Pluto Channel. You can see our show archived. But remember, www.johnmartintalks.tv. All right, let's get into this. This is a McClatchy story. McClatchy is a very liberal publication out of California, I do believe, that has been around for quite some time. I hear they're in a little bit of financial trouble, but that's a whole, as all media really is, especially now that they don't have Donald Trump to kick around, as they say. But it's a pretty good source if you want to know what the liberals are thinking about. So I'm using them on this article. Democrats have a backup plan in case the Senate doesn't convict Trump on impeachment. Now, the jackasses on Jackass Party is in prime regalia right now. And we're seeing through Biden's, I think, 52, isn't that right, Billy Bob? 52 executive orders. Of course, he may have written one since the show came on air, so you never know. I mean, he is writing them on a minute-to-minute basis. But I said a long time ago that the Democratic Party could be renamed to the Jackasses on Jackass Party, because all of those in that 2020 field were all, including the president, and I don't like saying that any more than you do. We got to deal with reality as it is, not as we wish it was. Joe Biden's in the White House, and he said that he was for the Green New Deal, and he's obviously putting it out there. So to me, back in the Democratic primary, my first question would be, how many of you are for the Green New Deal? Of course, all of them went, ugh. And the second question would be, how did you get here? Because if you didn't come on the back of a jackass, if you drove in a car, a plane, a bus, or a slow boat or something, then you're disingenuous jackasses on jackasses. All right, let's get into this. House and Senate Democrats may push ahead this week with a censure resolution to bar former president, that's a key word, former president. They're impeaching a citizen, not a president, Donald Trump, from holding future office over his role in the U.S. Capitol riot. What role did he actually have? None that I can see. Anticipating acquittal in the Senate impeachment trial. Ladies and gentlemen, if you ever doubted that TDS is real, Trump derangement syndrome, you just need to look no further than what is happening starting today. Trump derangement syndrome is real. They are afraid of Donald Trump. They don't want him to run again. They want to punish anybody who supported him, let alone actually worked for him and his administration. But as I've been telling you for a while now, and it is more true than ever, and I think this shows you, because this impeachment trial is not about President Trump, obviously, because there is no President Trump, unfortunately. It's not about, the office of former president, because there isn't one. It's about citizen Trump. But really, it's not even about any of that. It is about the one person that they fear more than Donald Trump, because there is one person out there that they fear more than Donald Trump. It's not me, but, they should. But they fear you. They fear you, the American people that voted you scalawags, you sons of guns, you MAGA hat wearing sons of guns, you basket full of deplorers, you dregs of society, or as God help us, President Joe Biden said, you mostly bad people. You guys that supported Donald Trump, they are terrified of you, because if it weren't for you, they would either totally impeach Donald Trump or they might even forget about him. But they can't, because they're scared. They're scared. As I say, if you're scared, say you're scared. Where they're scared of you. The establishment on both sides of the aisle is scared of you. And the only reason that they don't have 17 votes assuming they don't, to convict Donald Trump is because the Republican Party is terrified that you might actually discover the wimps that they truly are. I should say the rats that they truly are. I got to tell you, ladies and gentlemen, I don't say this with any relish whatsoever. I about had it with the Republican. I'm a Republican. I switched. Became Republican by choice about a decade or so ago, and don't regret that decision by any stretch. And I've never said Republicans have all the answers, but there are a few that at least are asking the right questions over the years, because the Democratic Party, they're soulless. They're gone. The Democratic Party of JFK is over. It's done. I don't think it's ever coming back. Now, I tell Democrats all the time, take your party back, because they have been taken over by hardcore progressive leftists, and Joe Biden and his bunch are the epitome of that. So, I tell you all the time, take your party back. But I have no hope in the Democratic Party, and my hope with the Republican Party is fading fast, and I'll expand on that in just a few minutes. But it does my heart no good to say that I am fed. I'm not discounting America's ability to make a comeback. No, I keep hope alive, as they say. But the Republicans, without Donald Trump, I don't know. The effort to draft a resolution that would invoke this is what the Democrats are proposing, with probably some help behind the scenes of some Republicans. They want to draft this proposal to use the 14th Amendment, this clause that was put in there, this amendment to prevent the Confederacy from rising again. That's what it's really about. But they're going to use it, apparently, if they think they can get away with it on Donald Trump. Let's get into it. The effort to draft a resolution that would invoke a provision of the 14th Amendment began quietly in January and gained momentum over this past weekend as Democratic Senator Tim Kaine, Hillary Clinton's running mate of Virginia, and Republican Senator Susan Collins, so bipartisanship, right, of Maine, gauge whether the measure could attract bipartisan support. Well, let me tell you about bipartisan support. If you're new to the show, first of all, howdy, how are you? Welcome. We're glad to have you. And oh, by the way, since I'm out of Facebook jail now, I will start commenting on your comments. So you can put them there. You can put them on YouTube. I'm getting literally in the past, before I went on Facebook jail, I was getting about 1,000 comments a day. I try to respond to all of them. Sometimes it takes me a little while, but you have my commitment to do it, and I'm eager to get back into it. But if you're new to the show, you may not have heard this, but this is one of my axioms, if you will. Bipartisanship. You know what it means? Now, I know what the textbook says it means, but let me tell you what it actually means. It means Republicans cave. That's what it means. It doesn't mean they work together. It means Republicans cave. Because I just asked you this question and chime in and tell me where I'm wrong. I haven't had anybody answer this challenge yet. I can name you dozens of times when Democrats were for something and Republicans were at least slightly against it, but had a change of heart and came over full board in support of the Democrats. I can't name you one time when the reverse is true. When Republicans were for something, Democrats were adamantly opposed to it, and the Democrats had a change of heart. I've not seen that. Maybe it exists. Please show me. But bipartisan support means Republicans cave, and they're subject to cave now. They're subject to cave now. Let me ask you this, because I told you who they fear the most. They fear you. If it wasn't for the fear of you and abandoning the Republican Party, how many of the current Republicans in the House and Senate do you actually think would vote to censor President Trump? I think it's scary the number would be. I think it would be enough to do exactly that, and they still might. The only reason that they don't is because of you, the fear of you, the American people. The reception has been lukewarm so far from Democrats who would prefer to see, it's not because they don't want to censor, they want blood. They want to ghost Donald Trump. That's the goal right now, to basically, as I said yesterday, check out our podcast. You can go to www.johnmartintalks.tv and YouTube and all that to see past versions of our show. But I said yesterday, it's kind of like the old scenes from like Yul Brynner and the Ten Commandments as the Pharaoh, where they want to wipe out the previous Pharaoh. They like scrub their face off the wall kind of thing. That's what they want to do with Donald Trump. And of course, they have the Pharaoh in the White House now because Joe Biden don't give a hoot about even the Democratic Congress. Basically, Joe Biden is a Pharaoh. He's just like Yul Brynner when I love that line when he went, "So let it be written, so let it be done." That is exactly what Joe Biden is doing. 52. 50 dadgum 2. More than the last 3 or 4 presidents combined. 52 executive orders. King Joe, man, he is something else. But it says the reception has been lukewarm so far from Democrats who would prefer to see the former president, Citizen Trump, convicted in the impeachment trial, and from Republicans who fear political consequences in barring Trump from office. Let me just tell you flat out, there is no future for the Republican Party without Trump supporters, without basically the support of Donald Trump. Now, that doesn't mean he has to run for office again. He can do whatever he wants. But without Donald Trump actively supporting the Republican Party, let alone battling against it, there is no future for the Republican Party. Not in the near future for sure. Let me just tell you, as I said earlier, I'm about played out with the Republican Party. I mean, they've been sending me, because I give money directly to the Republican Party. I give money directly to candidates. And of course, they've been hitting me with emails. And I'm not giving them a dime. You can do whatever you want to. I'm not saying I never will, but I'm not giving the Republican Party a dime until I see how all this shift show is whatever, this fiasco, this unconstitutional trial concludes, including censure, whether it happens or not. Because I'm not doing it. And the only reason that I'm not really totally just saying the heck with it and let's form a third party or whatever, even though President Trump has, I think, rightfully come out against that for now, because it doesn't meet my goal. A third party doesn't meet my goal, because my goal is beyond the Republican or Democratic Party. And there are, when I say beyond, because there are progressive leftists now in both parties. I mean, you tell me how Mitt Romney is not a progressive. He's as much a leftist as Bernie Sanders is, in my opinion. But I think it's an opinionated fact nonetheless. So my goal, ladies and gentlemen, is to stop, at the very least slow down, but ultimately to stop the progressive socialist leftists from totally destroying this nation and taking over our country. They're right on the precipice of it now. It may be too late. It may be too late. I don't believe it is, but it's possible. But I have not figured out, and you can help me chime in, like I said, on wherever you're chiming in. We're on MeWe too, by the way. You can chime in there. But I'm trying to figure out how a third party helps me achieve my goal. I'm not saying supporting the Republican Party is either, but it's got a shot. I don't see how a third party, because they give up on the Democrats. They just need, progressives cannot be reasoned with. This is one of my axioms. They can't be dealt with. They can't be negotiated with. They can only be defeated, period. That's it. There's no other rhyme or reason. So my goal is to stop the progressive leftist takeover of the nation and the destruction of this God country, the country we love. That is my goal. So anything that doesn't get me there is in my way. And it could end up being the Republican Party. I don't know. Some Democratic lawyers warn the strategy could backfire if taken to court and provide Trump with a rallying cry to run again for president in 2024. That's all this is about. That's all it's about. While others see it as the last best chance to hold him accountable for attempting to overturn the 2020 presidential results and disrupt Congress's certification of his loss. So everything that Donald Trump, I've been telling you this for a while, is extraordinary. You know, and they never give him credit for anything. I've said many times that if Donald Trump was seen walking on the reflection pool there at the Washington Monument, the headline New York Times be Donald Trump can't swim. So he can't win no matter what in that sense, only with your support, which, as I say, they're terrified of. But Donald Trump, what he did and what the senators like Josh Hawley and Ted Cruz did was never been done before, right? No one has ever challenged a presidential election. No one on the January 6th day when the results are to be certified has ever done this before. This never happened, right? But Billy Bob says that might not exactly be true. And he says he's got evidence of it. Let's play this video of this time when it actually happened before. Check it out.
Mr. President, the certificate of the electoral vote of the well-known and great state of Ohio seems to be regular in form and authentic. It appears therefrom that George W. Bush of the state of Texas received 20 votes for President. Dick Cheney of the state of Wyoming received 20 votes for Vice President.
For what purpose does the member from Ohio rise?
Vice President, I seek to object to the electoral votes of the state of Ohio on the grounds that they were not, under all circumstances, on regular district. And I signed objection, and I do that.
Has the senator signed the objection?
The senator has signed the objection.
An objection presented in writing and signed by both a representative and a senator complies with the law, Chapter 1 of Title 3, United States Code. The clerk will report the objection.
We, a member of the House of Representatives and a United States Senator, object to the counting of the electoral votes of the state of Ohio on the ground that they were not, under all of the known circumstances, regularly given. Signed, Stephanie Tubbs Jones, State of Ohio. Barbara Boxer, State of California.
The two houses will withdraw from the joint session. Each house will deliberate separately on the pending objection and report its decision back to the joint session. The Senate will now retire to its chamber.
So, what did we just hear? Did we not hear that Congresswoman Tubbs and Senator Barbara Boxer from the great state of California did what did this paragraph say? Let me read this again. It says here that hold him, talking about President Trump, accountable for attempting to overturn the 2020 presidential results and disrupt Congress's certification of the loss. I think that's what we just saw. Congress's disrupt Congress's certification of the loss to and the win of President George W. Bush. I mean, the reality is, ladies and gentlemen, this happens all the time. What Donald Trump proposed and what Ted Cruz and Josh Hawley did, and the different ones, I think the congressman, his name escapes me at the moment, from Alabama, started the process. Thank him for his service. That it happens all the time. What they did was routine by the Democrats. In fact, I'm pretty sure I'm right about this. The Democrats have challenged in this manner the last three Republicans that won the White House. They do it every time. They would have done it this time. Can you imagine what would have happened if there'd been, and I'm not saying there was any mod, we don't say the F word here, but if there were mod in the election and somehow Donald Trump actually won, what would be happening what would have happened during this past time? Do you think the Democrats would have just say, well, we pat old Donnie on the back, good job, man. We fought a hard race, but you won, sir. There would have been blood in the streets, man. I mean, it's just unbelievable. Can you imagine what would have happened? But the Democrats do this on a routine basis. It's just the way they operate. So this idea that what Donald Trump and senators, Republican senators and House members, Mo Brooks, by the way, thank you, Billy Bob, that's the guy from Alabama, that did, and we got news coming out of Alabama. We'll talk about that in just a second. But what they did was extraordinary, never been done before. The Democrats do it on a routine basis. You just never hear about it. Oh, and Shelby, that's the news out of Alabama. Senator Shelby, after 7 terms, I think, has decided not to run for re-election. He's pushing 90, he's like 86. I love Alabama. My mom's from Alabama. I got a lot of good people from Alabama. I got to tell you, I'm glad that Shelby, he's in a safe seat. So the next person that runs up there and replaces him is probably going to be a Republican and hopefully a conservative. But Shelby is part of the problem, ladies and gentlemen. He's a swamp rat. There's just no question about it. I don't know that you can help it. I'm not necessarily blaming. When you're in Washington for like 40, I want to say he's been up there for 46 years, something like that. Joe Biden's been up there for like 47 years. You can't help but be a swamp rat. You know, if you drink so much swamp water, you probably going to change into something. So I don't know how he was 46 years ago, but Shelby is a swamp rat. And I'm actually glad that he's retiring. And I don't wish him any ill by any stretch. But he's an example on both sides of the aisle why we need term limits to me. I've come a full circle on that. 10 Republican congressmen joined House Democrats last month to impeach Trump for a second time over incitement of insurrection on January 6th, when a violent mob of Trump supporters, and it's always Trump supporters, it's all of it. If you ever wore a MAGA hat, if you ever even picked up one, of course, this says make fishing great again. But I'm a fish whisperer, by the way. I'm many things. Check it out. But if you wore a MAGA hat or even thought about wearing one, or you didn't like do the cross of a vampire if you saw one and run the other way, then you're probably guilty of being an insurrectionist. I'm just saying. I mean, the term is like broadening out all the time. But let's start this little paragraph over here. There are 10 Republican congressmen and at least one woman, Liz Cheney, joined House Democrats last month to impeach Trump for a second time over incitement of insurrection on January 6th, when a violent mob of Trump supporters stormed the U.S. Capitol building and interrupted Congress's certification procedure. So I showed you that happens all the time, not the storming part, but the other time. 10 Republican congressmen. As I say, women, got to be politically correct. And I want to make sure that Miss Cheney gets full credit. She gets deserved full credit. But you know, I thought about this. That's a reason people like Liz Cheney out in Wyoming, it's a good reason to stay in the Democratic Party, is to primary these sons of guns out. I don't know. I have to do a little research. I mean, in Florida, I know our current congresswoman here in my district, Kat Comack, did not vote that way. But any of those 10 need to be primaried out, period. I don't care. I don't care if they end up losing to a Democrat, because I'd rather have someone coming at me that I know that I need to dodge than someone coming up from behind with a shiv, because that's what these 10 Republicans are. They're like shivving someone in prison. That's what they did, in my opinion. I'm just saying. But it's a reason to stay. If you need a reason to stay in the Republican Party, that's a good one right there, to primary them out. Because I got no problem with spite, and I'm not a spiteful person, but I'm feeling a bit spiteful right now. So I looked up the definition to make sure that I understood it. I'm not inciting violence in any way, shape, or form, Mr. Algorithm, humble algorithm, the most powerful man on the planet is algorithm. I'm not inciting violence. But spite says, the definition, a desire to hurt, annoy, or offend someone. I don't know about hurt anybody, but I'm definitely ready to annoy and offend someone. I had a friend of mine that he put up all kind of different signs, homemade, well, they were professionally made, but attacking Biden and everything else. And he knows who he is. Give him a shout out this morning. I'll remain anonymous. But he lives down like in South Florida. And one lady came by and said, you know, your sign offends me. And he looked at her and said, mission accomplished then. You made my day. You know, if we can be warriors and happy warriors at the same time. But I got no problem with spite, man. I might stay with the Republicans just out of spite so that I can vote against any of these turncoats, these rhinos. Maybe they are. Maybe, you know, I've been thinking about that term rhino a bit. I don't know if it's adequate anymore, because a lot of them are just establishment Republicans. They are Republicans. There is a wing of the Republican Party, the country club bunch, that they hate Donald Trump because he exposed them for the rats they are. If Donald Trump, love him, hate him, whatever, one of his greatest accomplishments as president, and this is no small accomplishment, was to expose the depth and the breadth of the swamp and just how many rats there are up there. Thank you, President Trump, former President, Citizen Trump, whatever. thank you so much for that, because I'm truly woke now. And if I stay in the Republican Party, it might just be out of spite. Just so I don't want to hurt anybody, but I wouldn't mind annoying and offending a few of them. As the likelihood of Trump's acquittal has grown, so too have calls within the Democratic caucus for an alternative path to prevent Trump from holding office again. That's what this is all about. They fear you. How does it feel to be feared, man? They might not respect you, but they dadgum sure fear you, and they want to put us in all. They want to reprogram us, deprogram us, liberate us, whatever, man. The plans for them are a bit scary. Representative Debbie Wasserman Schultz, and she is definitely of Florida, first raised the idea of a dual track process. So what they're talking about is consider censure at the same time as the impeachment, so that they can get him no matter what, coming or going. Dual track process that would reserve a second constitutional pathway. I'm talking about Tim Kaine, then began exploring the idea on the Senate side. Constitutional pathway. These Democrats, they use the Constitution when it suits them. They're against the Constitution, period. I don't see any sign that there's a single Democratic leader, in other words, elected office holder, that believes in the Constitution. They don't believe in the Bill of Rights, that's for sure. Name me one now they may believe in some segment of the 14th Amendment, but when it comes to the first 10 amendments, known as the Bill of Rights, free speech, the first one, out, gone. Second Amendment, there ain't even no reason to even discuss that one, right? They want a national registry so they can come get your guns. You better cling to your Bibles and your guns. You better take Obama at his word and cling to them things. But Joe Biden coming for him, man. But constitutional pathway. And remember, like I say, our sponsors and our partners, so to speak, Big Daddy Unlimited and Recoil TV, check them out, because they are your Second Amendment defenders, without a doubt. But their attention has focused, these that want to use the 14th Amendment, a focus on a Section 3 of the 14th Amendment, a rarely cited Civil War era provision which allows Congress to bar individuals from holding office if they have engaged in insurrection, the Civil War. A resolution to censure Trump would require a simple majority vote to pass the House and the Senate. Well, it's basically MAGA. Believe me, I don't trust these people, because think what we've already been called, those of us that support Donald Trump. We're four-letter words, MAGA, and we're equal to ISIS, another four-letter word. So we're equal to terrorists. By the way, did you see that the Biden administration, in the name of protecting you from the number one scourge of the pandemic, COVID, has barred people from flying, even Americans coming back from Europe? They have to have proof of vaccination, or at least that's the proposal, to come back to this country. Now, that may or may not be a good thing, but at the same time they're barring people from flying in, you can bum rush the border, feel free. They've lifted basically everything down at the border, and they're not checking these people for COVID. And if they are, they're relying on the locals, which are overwhelmed already, to check for COVID. So people coming from hot spots in Central and South America, as well as Mexico, no check. But if you're coming from anywhere in Europe, check. I'm just saying, it don't make much sense to me. But MAGA and ISIS, we know now, are one and the same. I guess we're the new Confederates. We're the new Confederates. It's interesting what people will accuse you of. People tend to accuse you of things that they're guilty of. Like, somebody say, I don't trust anybody. Well, that person right there cannot be trusted. Trust me on that. But when it comes to the Confederates, well, Republicans, I'll defend them on this. They don't hold a candle to the Democratic Party. I'm going to show you a meme. I got to set this up before well, go ahead, put it up there. This is an actual campaign piece from Clinton Gore. It is real. You can check it out yourself. They actually use this in literature in places like Arkansas and Mississippi and others to promote their candidacy. But these are the people that are worried about Trump supporters being Confederates. I'm just saying, man, it's just crazy. But I want to play a video for you here before we go any further, because these people never get questioned at all, right? They're the armed wing of the Democratic Party, otherwise known as Antifa. I want you to hear what they're saying, because to me, what they're saying right now, when you look at what Biden is doing down on our southern border, when you look at what's been happening over the past year of violence in our country, I tell you all the time, you don't have to guess where these progressives are coming. Take them at their word. Now, they're talking about Trump supporters chanting. These people are chanting, and listen to what they're saying, because I absolutely believe that this is what the Democrats under Joe Biden are trying to do. Check it out. No USA at all. Did you hear that? No borders. We don't have a border now under Biden. No wall. They've stopped that. No USA at all. That's the goal right there. That last word, no USA at all. Because if you have no border, you have no walls, you have a welfare state, they're actually debating right now whether to give stimulus checks to illegal aliens. Now, they've already said they're not going to prosecute illegal aliens that commit crimes such as robbery, such as DUIs, such as fraud. I mean, the list is long. They're not even going to go after them. They're just releasing them. They're not checking them for COVID, which is supposed to be the scourge of this pandemic we're having. But yet, it's all good. It's all good. And Biden and them campaigned on that. You can't say you're surprised, because I've been telling you, take them at their word. And I told you back in 2020, early on, that whoever came out of that crazy field of Democrats was going to be the most progressive presidential candidate, and God help us, now president, in the history of the country. And Biden I said it didn't matter who it was. I didn't think Joe Biden would ever be president. So I admit I was wrong there. But no borders, no walls, no USA at all. That's what all of this is ultimately about. Take them at their word. You don't have to guess. Constitutional scholars, including Michael Gerhardt, Lawrence Tribe, he's a piece of work, Bruce Ackerman, to Aaron Cheminsky, I don't know who that is, have advised lawmakers on the plan. They fall into this category because they're constitutional scholars, but they actually think that impeaching a citizen is constitutional. I don't see how they could possibly come to that conclusion unless they're educated idiots, which a lot of them are. Just because you got alphabets behind your name doesn't mean you're very smart. It just means you've got a lot of education. You look at our education system now, it means less every day, which is why, by the way, I'm battling ignorance and apathy daily here, because there's a lot of educated idiots that are rising to power. Idiocracy, if you hadn't seen that movie, check it out, is upon us, But they're either idiots or they're worse than that. They know they're wrong, but they're pushing an agenda because they fear you. Never forget that. They fear you. But this one professor, Ackerman, this attorney, he said, the decisive precedent was established, talking about this clause in the 14th Amendment, by the Congress in 1869 when it implemented Section 3 through a joint resolution to disqualify all Confederate officials from service. Now understand, ladies and gentlemen, this was after a civil war, a bloody civil war that literally tore the fabric of the nation apart. It was after 1869, several years after the Civil War. Maybe understandable. But then again, if they're going to use it now when there hadn't been a civil war, they're worried about a civil war, right? Well, maybe this video from Ocasio-Cortez, the new leader, really shows exactly why they're doing this. Check it out.
Game for investigation, but we also need to move quite quickly because we're talking about the potential compromise of the 2020 elections. And so this is not just about something that has occurred. This is about preventing a potentially disastrous outcome from occurring next year.
Congresswoman Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez.
Right there. So future crime. This was her comments on the first impeachment of Donald Trump, that they were doing it for what might happen. In other words, he might get reelected in 2020. And now they're doing it. They're implementing an article in the Constitution that deals with an actual civil war before anything actually happens to prevent Donald Trump from running again, which would be criminal. They fear you unbelievably, ladies and gentlemen. We're getting close to running out of time. I'm going to skip ahead just a minute. This Steve Cohen of Tennessee, I want to read something. Now, this guy's a piece of work. You may remember him from the Kentucky Fried Chicken thing he did when they were going to be talking to Attorney General Barr at the time. He said, I've been working on it independently, talking about the censure proceeding, for a long time. We've done research. We've talked to some scholars on how it could be used. So they've been doing this for a long time, way before January 6th. And insurrection, they keep throwing out this term insurrection. I want to get to this. Insurrection, a violent uprising against an authority or a government. I want to play a quick snippet of something that happened outside of the White House when President Trump was there. He had to go into the bunker. You could debate whether he should or not. But check out this video, an attack outside of the White House. And keep in mind, they breached the White House wall during this. And there were Secret Service agents that had to exchange gunfire. But listen to this. Check it out.
House where it started, he said, peacefully earlier today. What you're looking at live now there within view of the White House is a totally different story tonight as the looming 11 p.m. curfew is coming. Kevin, let's check in and see what your take is on whether that's actually going to happen tonight.
Well, you're unfortunately, Shannon, seeing a terrible scene. Fires burning here along H Street. We do smell, oh boy, oh boy, we're getting tear gassed. And unfortunately, I can add just a moment ago, it does appear that St. John's Church is on fire. The parish office, we went downstairs and it is on fire. I'm going to walk this way. And this is awful. We saw graffiti. Once the door was broken, we saw something similar happen earlier. And as you can see, there's definitely a fire here. This is the parish office. Here, come on back. Come on back. Come on back up. That's good. So they're trying to clear the area, Shannon, with the pepper spray and with the tear gas to try to clear people.
Anything we can do to get it out?
No, I don't know that there's anything we can do to put that out. I didn't see an extinguisher. We're back out here on H Street. Eyes are burning a bit, as you can imagine. As I tried.
There's a lot more to that video, but we're running out of time. That was happening in literally, if you've never been to D.C., it's literally on the Lafayette Park is on the doorsteps, basically, of the White House. That's where President Trump walked over with his Bible and stood in front of that church. Did you see the graffiti? I'm not even going to repeat it. I don't say the F word any kind here. But they painted that on the side of the church. I mean, it is sad. It is heartbreaking. Luckily, that church wasn't damaged too awful much, but it was on the verge of being burnt down. It's just unbelievable. But that's not insurrection. Breaching the White House, having the President of the United States have to go in the bunker, having shots exchanged from Secret Service officers, none of that. That's okay. No, they were justified. They're mostly peaceful. They're burning a church and painting the F word on the side of one of the most historic churches in our country. It is an attack on every single person, regardless of their religion, when they do that, man. But these yahoos, I want to read you, I'm going to skip all the way down a little bit here and say something else that this Cohen fella, who, God, man, he is a piece of work. Tennessee, please get rid of this dude. He is a threat to everything. Indecent doesn't even describe it. But here's something he said. He said, I know there was some concern about it being a bill of attainder. This is having to do with the trying of a citizen, which is unconstitutional. Listen to what he said, the bill of attainder, which is the provision that supposedly prevents that from happening. He said, I know there was some concern about it being a bill of attainder, but I'm not concerned about that. He's not concerned about the Constitution. He's take them at their word. He said, because what he did, talking about the president, was the most horrific thing that a president of the United States has ever done to this country. And I'd say he's telling you he's not concerned about the Constitution. The Constitution is on fire for them. I want to play this video. You've seen it probably before. I've played it before because this is nothing new. Democrats at every level don't care about the Constitution. Remember when the New Jersey governor said this on Tucker Carlson's show just a few months ago about the ability to shut down churches, let alone burn them down, and places of worship, places of business, and everything else. Check out this New Jersey Governor Murphy, man.
Was the right decision to make.
Huh. So you made that decision, and as I noted before, 15 congregants at a synagogue in New Jersey were arrested and charged for being in a synagogue together. Now, the Bill of Rights, as you well know, protects Americans' right, enshrines their right to practice their religion as they see fit and to congregate together, to assemble peacefully. By what authority did you nullify the Bill of Rights in issuing this order? How do you have the power to do that?
That's above my pay grade, Tucker. So I wasn't thinking of the Bill of Rights when we did this. We went to all.
There
first
you
of all,
go.
we looked at
There, take them at their word, ladies and gentlemen. He wasn't thinking about the Bill of Rights. So you got the governor of New Jersey. They don't care about the Constitution, the Bill of Rights. Above my pay grade, laughing about it. Laughing about it. You got this Cohen fella out of Tennessee going, oh, I know about the attainder, but this is bigger than that. So getting rid of Trump, ghosting Donald Trump because they fear you, is bigger than the Constitution. It doesn't matter. Then they cite the Constitution. It just gives me, I got to end the show on somewhat of a positive note. I think Donald Trump sums it up best with all this fiasco, the censorship talk, the impeachment trial, the illegal one that is probably going to start today and tomorrow. Donald Trump pretty well sums it up. Check him out.
Democrats have to now decide whether they will continue defrauding the public with ridiculous bullshit.
Amen. I can't say it any better than the president, man. God, I miss that man already. But what do we do? Let's end the show with this. What do we do? I always will talk about solution. Well, let me tell you, we need to get back to our founding. We don't need to ignore the Constitution. We need to re-implement it, reread it, that kind of thing, reinforce it. Because remember what Ben Franklin said when they talked about signing the Declaration of Independence. We either hang together or we're surely going to hang separately. And the Democrats are trying to burn us at the stake right now. So we better hang together. We're going to hang separately. Remember, ladies and gentlemen, they fear you. They fear you. I'm not advocating anything, any violence at all. I'm simply saying we better get truly woke. We better get determined, because it is literally freedom versus tyranny at this point. This is bigger. I've been telling this for a while. It's bigger, much bigger than Donald Trump, and that's pretty big. It is about whether or not we're going to be one nation under God, under the republic, under a U.S. Constitution that protects our God-given rights or not. It is about whether we're going to man the political ramparts or have to man the real ones again, which I don't want that to happen because that price has been paid, thank God, and we may have to pay it again, but we don't need to. We better man up and figure this thing out. Well, I hope you've enjoyed the show as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. Please go directly to John Martin Talks Facebook page now again. Like it, share it with others. Remember our sponsors, the links up above that I talked about that. Check out our YouTube channel. I'll pray for you. You pray for me. Let's all pray for this great United States of America, because she deserves it and needs it now more than ever. But as I say, each and every day, from my heart, from my family to yours, have a blessed day.